This is mathheals.com, where you can find more links to YouTube math videos and computer science. Let's take a look at a hypothesis test for population proportion. When observed results are unlikely under the assumption that the null hypothesis is true, we say the result is statistically significant and we reject the null hypothesis. Now our steps for the classical approach using TI-83-84, we write down a shortened version of the claim. We come up with a null and alternate hypothesis. H naught always has the equal part on it. H naught is our null, and H1 is our alternate hypothesis. Step 3, see if the claim matches H naught or H1. We draw the picture and split alpha into the tails. Not equal to on H1 is 2 tail, less than on H1 is left tail, greater than on H1 is right tail. Find the critical values, use an I&V norm. We'll find the test statistic using one prop z-test, and then if the conclusion. If test statistic falls in tail, we reject H naught. If test statistic falls in main body, we accept H naught. And it says determine a claim based on step 3. Let's look at our first problem. Okay, according to ABC News, in June 2012, 36% of people believe in UFOs in the United States. If a sample of 200, so N is 200, you know how to make this a little bit smaller here. Try it again. So N is 200. Find that 74 of them believe in UFOs, so X is 74. Test a claim that the percentage that believe in UFOs is greater now. So, greater than. And oftentimes when it doesn't appear like they give you the number's up above. See how they say 36% believed in UFOs back in June 2012? So it believes it's greater now than 36%. At alpha is 5%. Okay. First step, write down a shortened version of the claim. And we did that. Step 2, come up with a null and alternate hypothesis. Our null is the H naught, and this is H1. We're talking about proportion, population proportion, so we're going to use P for a symbol. Now this greater than applies a greater than symbol. Now the only symbols you can put on H1 are less than, greater than, and not equal to. So greater than has to go here. Maybe put that over here in parentheses. The only symbols you can put here are less than, greater than, or not equal to. The only symbols you can put here are less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or equal to. Now these are opposites of each other, so if this is greater than, this has to be less than or equal to. Now the current textbook we have will always put an equals on the H naught here. They won't put the less than or equal to. I like the less than or equal to because these are opposites of each other. And if it's not greater than, then it's not necessarily equal to. It could be less than. So that's why our old textbook used this, so that's why I stick with that. This makes more sense, I think, from a logic standpoint. Okay, so we just came up with a null and alternate hypothesis. Step 3, see if claim matches H naught or H1. Well, this has a greater than symbol on it, and we said the greater than goes here, so it matches H1. Step 4, draw the picture. Greater than on H1. Greater than on H1 says the right tail. It says split alpha into the tails. Well, alpha is 5%. So we'll put the entire 5% here because we only got one tail. And if that's 5%, then this has to be 95% because it all adds up to 100%. Our critical value is what separates the main body from the tails. And this says find the critical values. Use I&V norm. Now, INV norm is based upon the area to the left. So if I'm looking at the critical value here, the area to the left of it is 0.95. So we'll do INV norm 0.95. Grab a drink while that's coming up. Okay, so I'll do second bars, INV norm, and 0.95. And that gives us 1.64 for our critical value. For the test statistic, it says use one prop Z test. So one prop Z test. So we'll press stat, right arrow over to test, and one prop Z test is number 5. Enter on it. Now P naught, that's always a number off of our claim, or H naught or H1, so that's 0.36. X, 74 in 200. The symbol off of H1 is a greater than, so I'm going to right arrow over, put my flashing cursor on the greater than, and press enter. Mine's already highlighted, but if yours wasn't, then I would select it. And now down arrow to calculate, and press enter. Now when you're using a one prop Z test, your test statistic is Z equals value. So we've got Z is equal to 0.29. Now this is the number line right here. Here's 1.64. So 0.29, if I think where this falls, would fall over here somewhere. So for our conclusion, it says if your test statistic falls in the main body, right here, that means we accept H naught. Now H naught and H1s are opposites of each other, so if I accept H naught, that means I'm going to reject H1. And our claim matches H1, so whatever we say about H1 is what we say about our claim. So we'll reject our claim. Now, I want to talk about this word accept. And I use the same example in all these videos. I had a student one semester, an art major, got 7 or 8% on every test. And to get 7 or 8% on one of my college algebra tests means you leave a lot blank, or you just are totally clueless. So the whole semester went this way. She came in for the final exam. She got a 25 out of 25. Aced it. Unheard of. Almost nobody gets a 25 out of 25 in a comprehensive final exam. Especially somebody that throughout the entire semester didn't know what they were doing. She cheated. Now I can't prove it. And, there's a remote possibility that she spent every second the last 3 weeks studying and learned the entire course. Not very likely. I don't accept her innocence. Accept is a pretty strong word. I'm accepting her innocence. But I do not reject her innocence. So you'll find the books we use do not reject. I like to use accept and reject because it clicks better with students because they can see how they're opposites of each other much easier. Let's take a look at our second example. According to the Chicago Tribune in 1990, 74% of teenagers believed in angels. If a sample of 500 teenagers, so N is 500, show that 410 believe in angels. So X is 410. Test the claim that percentage is saying that alpha is equal to 10%. Okay. Test the claim that percentage is the same. So same as before. So same as 74%. Okay, looks like that's all the information. Same as. That's implied equals. Okay, step 1. Write down a shortened version of the claim. We did that. Step 2. Come up with a null and alternate hypothesis. These are P's again. Now equals can only go on H naught. Remember, those were our symbols. Well, if this is equals, then this is not equal. And I'll put 0.74 here. Step 3, see if claim matches H naught or H1. This is the equals, this is equals, so this one matches H naught. Step 4, draw the picture and split alpha into the tails. Well, a not equal on H1. Not equal on H1 says we're going to have two tails. So we'll have two critical values. Now we want to split our alpha into the tails. Alpha's 10%. We got two tails, so put 5% in each tail. If 10% is in the tails, then 90% is in the main body. It says find critical values using INV norm. This first one here, this one on the left side. Well, the area to the left of it is 0.05, so I'm going to do INV norm 0.05. So the second vars, INV norm 0.05, and we get negative 1.64. Now this one over here, the area to the left, you have to add up all the areas to the left. The 0.05 plus the 0.90. So we're going to plug in 0.95. So if I do second vars, INV norm 0.95 enter, we get 1.64. And those are our critical values. Next step is to find the test statistic, and we use one prop z test. So I'll go to stat, go to tests, one prop z test number 5. P naught, that's the number off of our claim, off H naught H1, which is 0.74. It'll be the same number on all three. X is 410. N is 500. The symbol off of our H1, which is not equal. The first one here is not equal. I got my flashing cursor on it. I just go ahead and press enter. That selects it. Down arrow to calculate and press enter. And the z equals is your test statistic, which is 4.08. This is a number line. Here's negative 1.64. Here's 1.64. 4.08 falls over here. So that's a tail. If test statistic falls in the tail, reject H naught. So we're going to reject H naught. Now if we reject H naught, that means we accept H1. And our claim matches H naught. So whatever we say about H naught is what we say about our claim. So we rejected H naught, so that means we'll reject our claim. Let's look at our third one here. According to the Chicago Tribune in 1990, 50% of teenagers believe in ESP. If a sample of 400 teenagers N is 400. Show 190 believe in ESP. So X is 190. Test the claim that percentage is different nowadays that alpha is equal to 0.01. So alpha is 1%. And it said test the claim that the percentage is different nowadays. Different from the 50% up above. So different than 50%. Okay, different than is not equal to. So step one, write down a shortened version of the claim. We did that. Come up with a null and alternate hypothesis. The not equal to goes here. Only symbols you can put on H1 are less than, greater than, and not equal to. Only symbols you can put on H naught are equal to, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Part of why I don't really like, and I know you can phrase what you're researching in whatever manner you want, but if you were to phrase it as we're testing the claim that the percentage is at least 50%. At least means greater than or equal to. Well, if you just put equals on your H naught all the time, there would be no place for greater than or equal to. So it's a little bit confusing. I don't know why some of the books have gone to that convention, but not that it matters. It gives you the same result. Don't get me wrong. Okay, so that was our null and alternate hypothesis. See if claim matches H naught or H1. Different than, not equal to. Here's a not equal to, so it matches H1. Now that seems kind of obvious because this symbol here drove which one did we put it on, but a lot of people have trouble on that at the end in the conclusion, so that's why I really pointed out. Okay, draw the picture. Not equal to an H1 is two tails, right here. So that's our critical value, and that's our critical value. Split the alpha into the tails. We got 1%. We take 1% divided by 2, and that gives us 0.005. If 1% is in the tails, then 99% is in the main body. Now find the critical values. Use I and V norm. So for this one over here, the area to the left, I and V norm is always area to the left, is 0.005. For this one over here, here's my critical value. The area to the left of it, we have to add up both of these. 0.005 plus 0.99 gives us 0.995. Okay, so do second vars. Choose I and V norm. 0.005. Enter. Then we get negative 2.58. If we plug this one in, we're going to find it's 2.58. That'll always be true on proportion. If you get this critical value, this one will be the same, just the opposite sign. That's not true on every claim, though. If we get to chi-square, it's different, so don't get thinking that it's always that way. And we're going to use one prop z test for our test statistic. Find test statistic, one prop z test. So press stat, go over to tests, and number 5, one prop z test. This is the number off of our claim, H naught H1, which was 50%. For X was 190. For N, we have 400. The symbol on H1 is a not equal to, so I want that highlighted. If yours isn't already highlighted, press enter on the not equal. Down there to calculate, and press enter. And we get Z is equal to -1. Here's a number line. Here's negative 2.58. Here's positive 2.58. Negative 1 falls in here somewhere. So our conclusion. Our test statistic falls in main body, so this says we accept H naught. Which means we reject H1. Our claim matches H1, so whatever we say about H1 is what we say about our claim. So we reject our claim. Then grab a drink, and then we'll look at our last problem. Okay, according to Chicago Tribune in 1990, 20% of teenagers believed in witchcraft. If a sample of 500 teenagers, so N is 500, showed 80 believe in witchcraft. So X is 80. Test the claim that the percentage is lower nowadays, that alpha is equal to 5%. Okay, test claim the percentage is lower. So lower than something. Well, 29%. So lower than 29%. Okay. Lower than. What symbol is that? That's our less than. And less than goes on H1. So obviously this is going to match H1 for step 3. Now if this is less than, this has to be greater than or equal to. Okay. It's going to be a left tail. Let me get back to that point. I've done step 1, 2, and 3. Less than on H1. Less than on H1, left tail. Critical value separates tails from the main body. It says split alpha into the tails. Well, alpha is 5%, so we put the 5% there, and that means there's 95% here. For our critical value, find the critical values, use INV norm. INV norm is based upon the area to the left, which is 0.05. So I do second vars and choose INV norm and 0.05. That gives negative 1.64. Now our test statistic. We're going to use one prop Z test. So go to stat, go to tests, one prop Z test, number 5. And number off of our claim H naught H1 is 0.29. X is 80. And it's 500. Symbol off of H1 is a less than. So press enter on less than. And now choose calculate. And we get negative 6.4. Negative 6.41. How many decimal places? Don't know. It depends on how close it is to your critical value. If we came up with negative 1.64 here, we'd need to take in more decimal places so we could see if it's on the left side or the right side. Well, here's a number line. Here's negative 1.64. Negative 6.41 would fall over here. So for our conclusion, we're going to reject H naught. Test statistic falls in tail, reject H naught. That means we'll accept H1. And our claim matches H1, so whatever we say about H1 is what we say about our claim. So we accept our claim. I thought this was these were actually statistics I pulled off of the Chicago Tribune. So these are valid off a study. Not saying they did the study right. Now this one's not too bad. UFOs, 36% of them believe in it. 50% believe in ESP. 29% believe in witchcraft. It's always amazing to me. Just a personal commentary is that people seem to believe more in things they can't see than things that are right in front of them. You know, whatever you might think of God, you know, you can't deny. The proof's right in front of you. You know, now whether we know anything about it, about the entity, is questionable in some people's eyes, not mine. But again, the evidence is right in front of people, but they don't want to believe that. But things they've never seen, like they've never seen a UFO, but they believe in them. It's just like, what? So people are interesting. One last thing I'll note on here. In dealing proportion, if they say a majority voted or a majority believed or whatever, what they're saying, even though they don't give you any words, is they're saying P is greater than 50%. You run across that in claims every now and then, so keep that in mind. Let me save this. This is hypothesis test for population proportion. Classical approach, TI-84, page 01. There we go. Okay, now let me stop the recorders.